Now, it was just the other day that I made a video discussing Xana Kernodle's dope fiend mother. And a lot of you guys had shit to say, like, don't always call people liars. You don't have to talk bad about everybody. You don't got to talk bad about dope fiends, this and that. And I told you then that Xana Kernodle's mother was a liar. And that ultimately, Ann Taylor, there was no conflict of interest. We found out that Ann Taylor never even met Xana Kernodle's mom, never represented her, never any of that. Well, more information on that has come out as Xana Kernodle has, I guess, did an interview from jail because, you know, she's a dope fiend. And we're going to talk a little bit about that because she basically admits she lied, but she believes she was railroaded by, well, News Nation. I'm thejbgunner. This is Crime Time. We're going to talk about that, a few other tidbits, and when it comes to the Bryan Kohberger case, the Idaho 4 murders, we'll get into that in just a second. Let's do it.
Bring it back.
This is exactly why I don't listen to none of you motherfuckers. Because you motherfuckers are like, no, you gotta trust the victims. Xana Kernodle's mom was never a victim. She's a dope fiend. I said that then. And a lot of times when I've made my videos, I've talked about people and I've been completely right. And this is one of those subjects I was right about. And that was Ann Taylor and how there was no conflict of interest. While you motherfuckers were screaming conflict of interest, I was saying it's not a conflict of interest. Now we know it's not a conflict of interest. Anyway, we're going to get into this story here in just a second. But before we do, I want to say first and foremost, thank you to everybody that supports this channel and all my channels, regardless of the method you choose, whether it's Cash App, Patreon, Venmo, PayPal. Truth is, guys, I couldn't do this each and every day as often as I do if it wasn't for you, the Gun Squad. So thank you guys so much. And if you too if you like my content, feel free to hit the links down below. Support the channel. That is how you keep this thing going. And me uncensored is me not depending on Google AdSense. You guys have created this monster, and you guys, I want to thank you for that. If you want to continue feeding the beast, links down below. With all that being said, while you're down there, by the way, if you're not a snowflake, you can find my political channel, my live stream channel, my gaming channel, my fucking wrestling channel. It's all down there if you guys want to check out some of my other content. Xana's mom. Let's get into this bitch. If you remember this video, it was just, I think, 7 days ago, I talked about the dope fiend's lies being exposed because, of course, she said, I can't believe it. I gave her power of attorney. I can't believe she would betray me like this, talking about Ann Taylor. Ann Taylor then came out and said, I don't even know this motherfucker. I've never met this motherfucker. And then I made the video, and like I said, many of you were like, man, maybe Ann Taylor's lying because you guys want Bryan Kohberger to be guilty so fucking bad. You don't have any objectivity left in you. It's just kind of the way it is. But let's go ahead and get back to this. Let's get to the story because there are things that you guys will need to see. It's the worst place to be when you're going through something like this. Something like what? Something like what? Withdrawing from your dope? Is that what we're talking about? I have no respect for a dope fiend. I'm sorry. I don't even have respect for the shaky alcoholics, right? If you guys have let substances of any sort get to you like this, bro, I don't have no reason to respect you. I'm being dead honest. And so I know that may offend some of you, but there is no reason at all for me to have respect for these types of people. Meanwhile, you want me to find Kohberger guilty, and we don't know what Kohberger, the most you can say about Kohberger is that he's OCD and a little weird. And you want me to convict the guy and send him to the death penalty. That ain't gonna happen. Anyway, it's the worst place to be when you're going through something like this. Mom of Idaho victim Xana Kernodle is languishing in jail on drug charges after suffering from withdrawal. After her daughter's brutal murder triggered her relapse. She's just saying that. Do you really believe that this dope... Look at this woman. Look at this woman. Do you really believe... Let's go back to the image. I just want you to see this right here. Look at the way that woman's face is caved in. Do you really believe she just now, after November 13th, started doing dope again? No, this is a long time dope user. You can tell it clear. Anybody that's ever seen the before and after pictures of Xana Kernodle's face and her in general, you know this woman didn't start just using drugs again in November. I'm being dead honest with you. You know that's not a true statement. But that's what drug addicts do. Drug addicts, what they do is they justify their drug use. I was on the right track, JB. I was on the right track, not doing any heroin, not doing anything. And then Brian Kohlberger came into someone's life, a child that I'm not even in his life. Let that sink in. This woman was not a mother to Xana Kernodle. So don't you find it a little odd how Brian Kohlberger and that whole thing somehow pushed her, this woman who didn't give a fuck about Xana before this. Now all of a sudden she's like, that incident is what pushed me. No, it's just her justifying or making excuses for her fucking drug use. Let's be honest here. Let's just be completely upfront. Karen Northington, age 43. That's a hard 43, man. That is a hard 43. Whew, that's my age. That's crazy. Anyway, has been held on drug charges since February 24th. She told Daily Mail that I told you I told you after she did that interview she was going to end up locked up. She told Daily Mail, because she had warrants then. She told DailyMail.com, I relapsed after my daughter's killing. Then 4 days after that, I got picked up on new charges. Now, I'm going to show you all the dumb shit this stupid bitch has been doing. Her time behind bars has forced her to go through a nightmare withdrawal. Well, you should have went through the nightmare withdrawal on the outside. Anyway, let's go ahead and continue. The mother of University, Xana Kernodle, you know the deal, is locked up in jail on drug charges, having spiraled into relapse following her daughter's killing, so they're saying. It's the latest in a series of tragic events for the troubled 43-year-old who's being held at Kuntai County in Florida. Let me make this clear, okay? It's not tragic. Tragic is when an accident happens. Tragedy isn't when you throw your own life into the gutter. You understand? If someday I have liver, if something happens to me, whatever the fuck, because I drank too much, that's not tragic. Because I caused it. I desired it. I wanted it. Tragic is like if a motherfucker falls off a roller coaster. Tragic is when you let a fat bitch ride you and then all of a sudden you can't breathe no more and you're out of there. That's tragic. Tragic is not this. By the way, I have no problem with fat women. Let's get back to this. It's the latest in this, 66 miles from where 20-year-old Xana, her boyfriend, and two housemates were slaughtered on November 13th. She has been in custody on a drug. Well, fat women get better head. So before you motherfuckers are over there talking shit, fat women give good head. Sorry, you don't like it? I don't give a fuck. Thinner women have better pussy. Fat women give better head. Sorry if that offends either one of you. I don't give a fuck. Suck my dick. Let's get back to this. She was in custody on drug charges since February 24th, after spending 3 weeks locked up on 30 miles west of Spokane, Washington, where she had been staying in a ratty motel, strung out on fentanyl and methamphetamines. Of course she was. Of course she was. There she is right there. There she is right there. If you take a look at this right here, possession of controlled substances is February 24th, drugs 1 and 2. These were new cases, I believe. These were new cases where she was strung out in that hotel, warrant of detention. I'm pretty positive because the rest dates right there. Now it does have a different related case. I'm not sure the warrant arrest. So I think this is when they caught her for her warrant. Excuse me. I think that's when they caught her. Northington is now confined to a cell with 3 other inmates on bunk beds at the facility, where she only has daytime access to a TV, often airing news about the savage killings, all while she undergoes drug withdrawals. It's a fucking nightmare, the grieving mother cried during an exclusive phone interview with the DailyMail.com from behind bars. It's a living nightmare. Yes. If you don't want to be in jail, seeing shit you don't want to watch, don't be doing shit illegal. I have no sympathy. Just like in my younger days when I was doing illegal shit, you shouldn't have had sympathy for me. You do the crime, you do the time, bitches. Let's go ahead and get back to this. At night, she said she can barely sleep as she replays the massacre in her mind and wrestles with personal demons. How do you replay the massacre? All right, whatever. Her time behind bars has also forced her to go through a painstaking withdrawal, with staff providing her with nothing more than ibuprofen and a Gatorade to soldier through. Hey, man, Since when they giving inmates Gatorade? Like that shit you get off comedy. How the fuck you getting Gatorade, bitch? I'm curious. I'm curious. See, I come from the old school. I ain't been in prison in 20 years. So for me, I'm like, Gatorade? Where the fuck they do that at? Like, you don't understand. We had watered down coffee and water that we had to get out of the toilets. On top of the toilet, there was a little fountain that you had the little mini cup, and you know, or your Kool-Aid jar. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, where the fuck was the Gatorade? Shit. Anyway, let's continue. That's all they gave me. What an ungrateful bitch. It was awful. Absolutely awful. Absolutely terrible on top of everything else. You did that. The ordeal has left Northington to face her dark new reality sober. But she noted the one thing that keeps her going is not wanting to disappoint Xana. Xana's dead. Xana's fucking dead. What do you mean? I don't want to disappoint Xana. Xana don't know what the fuck you're doing. You know what I'm saying? So you think... In fact, you probably look more dead than Xana right now. Xana ain't been dead that damn long. You look like you've been dead a good 40 years. Let's go ahead and get back to this. They are my strength. Talking about the kids. It's one thing to lose a child, but when you still have two really great children, you have to pull it together for them. You know, bitch, you've had these children for a long time. Fuck you mean you need to pull it together for them? You were supposed to do that a long time ago, before you was sucking dick for fentanyl and shit. Northington has struggled with drug abuse throughout her adult life and suffered the consequences. Repeatedly arrested and jailed for alienating her own family. I thought she said she had to pull it together. She and Xana's father, Jeff Kernodle, divorced in 2005. Smart man. He dodged that bullet quick. But she told DailyMail.com that she was clean before the attack, working as a waitress and striving to make fresh inroads with her children. Yep. I hear you. Anyway, she used to not be too bad. She used to not be like that. You can't tell me she wasn't fuckable. Every dude here will be like, yeah, I'll give it to her. She used to be all right. Them drugs will get you every fucking time. Every fucking time. She was planning to meet Xana for lunch in late October, but she said she had to postpone because she had a court hearing that ran late. Xana, we all know what happened to the kids. Northington went on to say she was the light in this world. And I believe her. Xana seemed like she was that. She was just so funny she could make everybody laugh. You send your kids to good schools. You think they're going to be safe there. Well, you didn't send her there. You didn't send her there, lady. Let's be honest. It's probably dad. How the fuck you going to send her there? You out there in cheap rundown hotels doing drugs and shit. You don't think they're ever going to be murdered? You never think that's going to happen to you, she added. I relapsed after my daughter's killing. Then 4 days after that, I got picked up on new charges. We'll continue. That was on November 19th when police in Kuntai County charged Northington with 2 counts of felony drug possession. Out of mercy, authorities released her so she could attend a memorial for her daughter on December 2nd at Real Life Ministries in Post Falls. They let me out because of what happened, she says, so I could attend her funeral and everything. And then I didn't go to my next court date because I was still getting high. Yeah, no shit. But you can't sit there, and this is why I don't like this bitch. A lot of you people are going to be like, why are you being so hard on her? Do you understand she's using her daughter's death as excuses for her fucking criminality? You cannot use this is some of the biggest scum on the earth. She's using her daughter's death she's using it as an excuse for her crimes. No, I have no sympathy at all, and I'm not being mean at all. Soon after a warrant was issued for Northington's arrest, she went off the grid in Spokane, running, of course, but still couldn't escape the news. The University of Idaho massacre had become national news, we all know. Police arrested Kohlberger, we all know all of this. We all know the Kohlberger thing, right? Let's get on down here a little bit. Northington was not only had to deal with the consequences of her drug addiction and the pain of losing a child, but the media frenzy that dragged her into the spotlight as well. Here we go. In January, The mom appeared on News Nation, where she publicly blasted the fact that Jasmine was allowed to continue her studies at WSU alongside Koberger, even after he was identified as the suspect, but before his arrest. That's crazy, right? So her daughter literally was still with Koberger even after they knew that Koberger was the guy. Her other daughter? Damn. That's brutal. I will give her that. That's brutal. She also reacted to reports that Ann Taylor, the lawyer defending her on drug charges, had dropped her to represent her daughter's accused killer. I'm so heartbroken. We all remember all of this, right? We all remember all this. The lawyer would later explain that her name appears in nearly every document filed in the Kutai County criminal cases, but she is only the county's chief public defender. But that she's never met Northington in person or offered her legal advice. However, Northington now tells the Daily Mail that she regrets the interview where she did all that. Oh, well, you know what I'm saying? This shit right here. She regrets this interview with old liar down here, right? She regrets it now, but it's only because her ass got caught. She tried to come out with some bullshit lie and she got caught. I want you to read what she says. That was a big misunderstanding on my part, and I was kind of the victim of some kind of fake news. You're the one that provided the fake news, you dumb bitch. You're the one that said that she betrayed you. You're the one that said that she was your power of attorney. You're the one that said those things. And once again, you're going to blame it on some other people. Now, I'll tell you now, I think Bannerfield was a fucking lie for having this interview with you. I mean, was wrong for having this interview with you. But you did this shit. You said this shit. You're the one that tried to throw Brian Koberger and Ann Taylor under the bus. Because you wanted your little 15 minutes. You wanted to come out and play the victim one last time. And now you're doing it again. That you were a victim of some kind of fake news. Bitch, you're the one that provided the fake news. You're the one that provided the news, dummy. On January 31st, just 5 days after the Banfield interview. Oh no, she goes on to say, hopefully that's been straightened out now, and now people are understanding of that. She wants us to be understanding of the fact that she went on national television and lied about Ann Taylor to try to harm Brian Koberger, to try to get her 15 minutes to play the victim. You understand? That's all this was. We don't even know if Brian Koberger's the fucking killer, but you wanted to fuck up his trial. You wanted to come out here, and this is why Brian Koberger, in the end, will walk. There's so much misinformation and lies being put out here. And let me tell you something. That's also why the gag order exists. They don't want shit like this right here. Because there's going to be plenty of people that does not see this video. There's going to be plenty of people that believe that Ann Taylor somehow, in a conflict of interest, betrayed this dope fiend woman. There's going to be plenty of people that say that do that, that mean that. On January 31st, just 5 days after the Banfield interview, she was arrested for criminal trespassing in Spokane. How the fuck you get criminal trespassing? She spent the next 24 days in jail before being transferred to the jail in Coeur d'Alene, her former hometown where Mogan and Gonsalves also previously lived. Northington's being held on a $100,000 bond and says she's trying to keep to herself most of the time. She's just saying in her cell and reading. This is what she's saying. Northington said she needs therapy, but isn't getting any while she's in custody. She also can't discuss the murder case with fellow inmates because of the gag order imposed by the judge that extends to the victim's family. She says, I can't talk about my feelings, my lust, but I can talk about that, but I can't talk about what happened, she said. It's the worst place to be when you're going through something like this. It's the worst place possible. And you ask for all of it. All of it. It's really hard going through what I'm going through when the case is plastered all over the place. I haven't watched any news, then how would you know? The last thing I heard was on Entertainment Tonight that they were going to demolish the house. Obviously, I need treatment. I need psychiatric counseling because of what happened. I just want to get sober for Xana and my other 2 living kids. She has a little brother who needs me, and her older sister just lost her best friend and her sister, so she doesn't need to lose her mom too. And my son doesn't need to lose his mom either. Take a look at yourself, lady. They've already lost you. Take a look at yourself. They've already lost you. That's the reality of the situation. I was going to talk about some other things. I think we'll do that in a separate, but no, we may do it in this one. So when it comes to this, I know a lot of you think I'm just being harsh, being a dickhead, being a shock jock, being any of that. But the reality of this is listen, I told you guys, I gloat when I'm right. I knew this bitch was lying from day one. I said it on this channel. She was lying from day one. I knew because I used to sell drugs how dope fiends were. You can see it in her dope fiend eyes. She was a fraud from day one. And you people who gave me shit over it. I wonder if you'll be in my comment section right now saying, JB, you was right the whole time. No, because you didn't do it before on anything else. Notice how I've been pretty fucking right this whole case. It's just the truth. But everybody else wants to pussyfoot around and and pander to all the so-called victims. There's only 4 victims. And no, Dylan Mortensen wasn't one of them. And you know what you're going to find out in the end? Just like I was right about this dope fiend, just like I was right about almost everything, I'm going to be right about Dylan Mortensen as well. You can't say that about a victim. She wasn't a victim of anything. Nothing happened to Dylan Mortensen. There was no attack on her. She wasn't assaulted. She wasn't even cussed out. She wasn't a victim of anything. I don't think you know what the word victim means. But when it comes to this, it's very simple. I do not trust a dope fiend. Xana's mom was a dope fiend liar in the beginning, way before this even happened. And she's a dope fiend liar now. And all the fake news media outlets, the Banterfields, they're going to keep tugging on it, holding on to it, because it gives them content, because there's a gag order and there's no news. They're going to keep pandering to them so they'll come back on the show. Do you think Ashley Bannerfield will come out and say, man, my bad for putting out this misinformation and fake news and affecting Brian Kohlberger and Kohlberger's lawyer? No, they're not going to do it because they're all frauds and they have an agenda. That's the truth. I'm JB Gunner. This is Crime Time. Guys, if you like what I do here and you want to support the channel, feel free to hit the links down below. Let me know in the comment section what you think, though. You know, there's other things we could talk about that's been going on with this case. The Gonsalves family, just so you know, the Gonsalves family has come out and made a statement. In fact, let me go ahead and read it to you. Let me go ahead and read Brian Enton wrote a report on this. Let me go ahead and read the Gonsalves statement. I didn't even know they were allowed to talk. You know what I mean? It says the family wanted to make a brief statement to the media regarding some of the issues surrounding the case, and wanted to let everyone know that all communications still need to come through my office. I apologize if I missed someone's email. You know what I think they did? I actually think they lifted the gag order on family members. The Gonsalves family would first like to thank the media for the continued coverage of the case. It is important to keep this story alive to make sure the stories of the 4 victims in this case are remembered. It is clear from the newly released memo by Judge Marshall in this matter that she does not believe that the gag non-dissemination order applies to the victims' families. Only through the hard work of our attorney were we able to get the clarification that we needed. So apparently the judge doesn't believe the gag order applies to the families. Our attorney, Mr. Gray, has been informed through a public filing notice regarding hearing date on a motion to appeal, amend, blah, 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 that Judge Marshall will not provide a hearing or address the other issues raised in the motion until the Idaho Supreme Court makes a decision in this situation. That's crazy, right? That's crazy. All right, let's go here. We're going to finish. That being said, we are confident that once the decision is made in the above case, that Mr. Gray will once again be able to speak on our behalf. Oh, he can't speak. The lawyer can't speak. So apparently, the gag order only counts for the lawyers of the families. That's weird, right? I don't know what I think about this, right? He will continue to address any concerns. I hope they keep speaking. I hope they keep talking, and I hope later on Kohlberger sees it. And I hope. He will continue to address any concerns our family has while continuing to hold the investigators, prosecutor, and all parties accountable as the family supports the prosecution of Mr. Kohlberger. We would like to thank everyone across the country and worldwide for the donations, gifts, support, and prayers. They have given us strength every day in this battle for justice. Finally, we firmly believe it was coverage by the media of the victims' families, numerous witnesses, and undeniable evidence that led to an arrest in this case. May God bless you. Meanwhile, Kohlberger's lawyer is calling for backup. Here's the truth. Brian Kohlberger is going to get a second lawyer on the case. What this says is that there's a good chance that they're going to go for the death penalty. Let me show you what I'm talking about.
Now, Andrew Cherkasky, he is a criminal defense attorney and former federal prosecutor. Andrew, thank you for being here. First of all, the fact that Ann Taylor is now asking for a second attorney to assist her, do you think that means that she thinks the prosecution is definitely going to go after the death penalty here?
First of all, I think everybody with any common sense at all knows that the prosecution is going to go for the death penalty in this case. And I've seen the people tweeting and all this, people think that this means Ann Taylor's not confident. No, she just wants to give the best defense possible. And look, she's not even the only lawyer on this Kohlberger case. Remember the other guy that she brought in? Now she's wanting to bring someone else that can handle death penalty cases along with her. That's what she did.
Well, I think everyone involved in this case thinks that it's relatively obvious that they will go after the death penalty. In fact, I can see no reason under the law why they would not. There are 11 factors that would justify the death penalty in the state of Idaho, and I count at least 4 or 5 of those factors being met here, assuming the government is able to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. In the state of Idaho, under the administrative code, in death penalty cases, it is required to have at least 2 death-qualified defense attorneys. So while
that's it. It's required to have 2 qualified death attorneys.
The prosecution doesn't have to announce that they're seeking the death penalty until 30 days after the initial arraignment, which would come only after the probable cause hearing in June. So not until the end of July will we hear that. I think everybody sees the writing on the wall and they want to get their defense team in order at this point.
And I agree with all that. I definitely agree. That's exactly what they're doing. They're getting their ducks in a row. That's all they're doing. And so ultimately, there's no news there. It's required in death penalty cases for there to be 2 death penalty lawyers. So what does this mean? It means that Ann Taylor believes it's possible that they're going to go for the death penalty, which makes sense because this is a murder of 4 people. So it makes sense. And it actually adds a little bit of realism to this. And I ask that you guys somewhat think about that. Imagine being Imagine if you're Brian Kohlberger and you didn't do it. Imagine being a defendant in a case where your life is on the line and you didn't do it. I hope, for America's sake, that he did do it. Because if he didn't do this, it is a grave injustice to me for any man or woman or anybody to have to face a court and a jury which could be wrong and your life is on the line. From the evidence I've seen, they have nothing on this man other than the touch DNA. That's the only thing that you can argue that they have against him. I don't want to hear you whining because he was digging through trash in his house at another house 2,500 miles away a month later. That's a weird thing. That's not, I don't even think that's circumstantial. That's just nothing. That's just a weirdo digging in the trash, probably for dope that he dropped. Does it make sense? Curious what you guys think about all this. The Gonsalves family, they seem to be talking now, which I don't know where that's going to go, right? Kernodle was a fucking liar. Carrington, whatever the fuck you want to call her. And now Ann Taylor's going to get a little bit of help. So it is a high likelihood, in my opinion, the prosecution is going to go for the death penalty. We won't get to know till July, though. I can't wait for this trial to start. You guys know I'm going to be on it. On it. I'm JB Gunner. This is Crime Time. I love you guys. You guys know all the fucking closing deals. Sports channel down below. Go check out my other shit. I love you guys. Leave comments. I will see you tomorrow. Love you. Peace out.